Alright, we are on the play for the first time today with RUG Delver. This hand is a keep. It's at least somewhat counterintuitive, but when you can turn one Serum Visions, hopefully find a land, and then also Disrupting Shoal, possibly pitching the other Serum Visions depending on what you scryed at the top, to follow up with Delver plus Spell Snare if we hit a land. That's pretty great. So we kept. I think the hand is good. I would have preferred if this was a fetch, a steam vents, or a breeding pool, because it just makes it more likely for us to have one of our other colors. But that is okay. We found a land. It won't help us cast this Tarfire, but it is still a second land, and it is very valuable to us. We're not straight dead to aggro because we can shoal and then spell snare, so we can take out a 1-drop and a 2-drop. So I'm not worried about not being able to cast Tarfire immediately. Steam Vents is interesting. Insolent Neonate, that's Dredge. One of the best things about Disrupting Shoal, back when Dredge was big, was that it is good against Neonate and also against Faithless Looting. We're going to shoal that. We definitely pitch the Serum Visions now, because on this turn, which is about to happen, our plan is going to be Shock, Delver, and then Spell Snare what I hope to be a Cathartic Reunion. Of course, if they do cast Cathartic Reunion, they still get to discard. He says good. Okay. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if that's Snarkasm. Collective Brutality makes me very happy to snare, because otherwise they're going to get rid of our clock and probably take one of our counters. We don't like that. We don't like that at all. They're probably using the discard to put some dredgers in their yard. Unfortunately, that's a cost just like Reunion, so we can't stop it. However, we are going to Spell Snare. Hopefully our opponent isn't the kind of person who gets tilted off of having their spells countered. If so, we might cover up that chat. Not a reveal. However, that gives us the red source. And our opponent was kind enough to put themselves to 14. And step. Done? Yep. Okay. Hopefully Delver flips soon. I don't think we're going to fetch on the end step, because we don't need to. We have the 2 mana for the mana leak. And I believe scrying off of the Delver is just more valuable. Golgari Thug, another Amalgam. They dredged their life from the loam. It is the only card in their hand. I might actually jot that down. That would be a pretty good idea, keeping track. Dredge is very hard to keep track of on Xmage because you can see that graveyard. That is an awful interface. If I drag this down, it doesn't make the graveyard spread out, so all you get is a very long rectangle. Pretty annoying. I'm going to grab a pad of paper and a pencil. Fortunately for me, I keep a pad of paper and pencil in my room. Loam. That is what they have in hand. We're going to hope for something great. I will reveal this mana leak. Yeah, I like it. I like drawing the mana leak. I think that's good. We're just gonna hit. If they fetch again, the Tarfire takes a turn off of our clock, but I'm not worried about using that Scalding Tarn yet. I will do it on their end step though, now that we don't have any way to scry off of Delver. So I think it is now best to fetch on end step. We'll get a Stomping Ground. We may as well have double green. Who knows if that'll be relevant. I don't need triple blue. I don't think I've ever needed triple blue with this deck. Maybe on occasion. Like Snapcaster counter blue control mirrors. They dredged their Thug and hit a Narcomoeba. We might end up just Tarfiring that Narcomoeba. That seems pretty good. Unfortunately, Narco's going to trigger the Amalgams, and they have a chance to come back. Oh, they also have Stinky. We can counter the Stinky twice, though, so that's not too bad. Okay, 2 delayed triggers hit the stack. They cast the Loam. They no longer have Loam, now they have Thug, and very soon they will have a lot of lands. There is not a Conflagrate in the graveyard yet, so that is very good. As soon as they declare their targets, we will probably jot them down. Mire, Foothills. I think letting Life from the Loam resolve is correct. I'd rather have my mana leaks for more relevant spells. So, Mire, I'm going to right and click Foot. That resolves, and then we fetch. I'm actually just going to get a mountain. I don't think it's that likely that I need the second green source, and I'd like to Tarfire this now. I don't want to take a lot of damage because I expect this to be a race. Playing against Dredge with this deck very often is a race. Another fetch land's not great. They don't know about the second mana leak. They only saw one. I'm going to play the fetch, and we're going to hit him for 3. Dredge is a race when you play this deck because we don't have very permanent graveyard hate, so we don't have a way to get inevitability over them. So our only real thing is to kill them before they can recur enough threats for us to just not matter. Another Amalgam comes back. Lightning Bolt is one of the best cards you could see. Did they not want the Amalgam to come back? Maybe they're playing around anger. Oh no, there's no Amalgam in their yard. Why did I see an Amalgam trigger? That's very strange. They dredged a... Do I get to see? They dredged Imp. They turned over another Narcomoeba, which is going to make this very challenging. Oh geez. They hit Bloodghast. They play a land. They can now race very nicely. And they're probably going to have Narcomoeba and Stinkweed Imp, which we have to counter as blockers in the air for Aberration. So there's not a lot we can really do, probably, which is unfortunate. We are going to do our best. I just don't know if our best is going to be good enough. Running Lightning Bolts might do it. It's also very relevant that they have a Scourge Devil in their graveyard because Unearth cannot be countered by Mana Leak. They played the Mire, so they have Foothills, Thug. Bloodghasts come back. They don't have haste, which is good, and they won't even have haste next turn if I don't fetch. Of course, I don't plan on killing the Bloodghasts, so them not having haste next turn isn't relevant. I'm going to fetch. It's good to think through things like that. I find it very helpful. We're just going to maximize our chances of having a Lightning Bolt in the graveyard. And honestly, the difference between 10 and 11 life is not very large when the opponent has a Scourge Devil sitting in their graveyard. Let's get a second red source because we may as well. Wooded Foothills is not the draw we needed. If we don't attack, they can we block one of the amalgams, say, we take 4, 8, Scourge Devil, we're unfortunately dead. So we are going to attack. It's very sad that we drew so many lands. Excuse me. We had a very good shot to win this game. But alas, we didn't. Well, we probably won't. It's entirely possible our opponent totally goofs. They dredge Stinkweed back. I'm not going to bother writing that down because I don't believe we can win. They might think we have Double Bolt in our hand because they don't know either of these cards, but they can't play around Double Bolt, so they shouldn't, which means they should just try to kill us. If I do counter Stinkweed Imp, they know that we can't kill them on the stack, but I don't think that's a consideration, so I'm just going to counter it just in case they miss that they have lethal. It's extraordinarily unlikely that they're going to miss it, but we'll still play it out. We will play the game out. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, post board, I think Dredge gets slightly better. It doesn't get good because we don't run Graveyard Hate, but I do think it gets slightly better. Pyroclasm, while not quite an Anger of the Gods, basically slows them down a turn, which is good if you're beating down with Goyfs and Hooting Mandrills. Bedlam Reveler is awful, because like I said earlier, they have the inevitability. We don't want to grind them out, we just want to kill them. I could theoretically see a maximum of probably one Huntmaster making its way into the deck. Huntmaster is pretty slow, and he can't manage their board. Their board's just too good. I don't like the Artifact Hate, and Explosives is basically a worse Pyroclasm here. Traverse could be theoretically reasonable, so maybe I'll throw that in that pile. I could also see Dismember being okay, and I really don't want to spend turn 3 casting a Blood Moon against them. So now let's see what we want to take out. Simic Charm is actually kind of good, because it can bounce blockers, bounce attackers, it bounces amalgams to their hand, which makes the amalgams next to useless, and it can also get in some extra damage as reach. It's kind of like a 5th lightning bolt, so that's good. I don't hate Dismember, but I also don't think it's going to be great. Oh, we also just don't want too much removal, and taking 4 life could cost us the game. It also indirectly makes Shoal a little bit better because it's basically a non-blue spell coming out, which means that's fewer blue spells going out, which means Shoal is more likely to fire when we need it, and last game, Shoal is what gave us a chance to win. So that seems okay. I would like to cut one more card. I think it might be this Traverse the Ulvenwald. I like Tarfires and Bolts because reach and clearing Narcomoebas and things so we can get in. Also very good at temporarily getting rid of a Stinkweed Imp. Tarfire grows Goyf, so that seems good. Let's slide that over for now so the deck is ready. I don't want to go below 18 lands. All the visions. One Traverse seems okay. Reach, counters, especially on the play. Denial counters a lot of their action spells. It can slow down a Loam, stop a Conflagrate cold. You can get a Faithless Looting on turn 1 if you play a land and don't have anything better to do. So I think this configuration looks pretty good. Snapcaster is maybe iffy, but it basically buys back a Lightning Bolt, so that can't be so bad. Alright, opponent, I will be on the play. 3 lands is probably fine when you have a Hooting Mandrills. They're also all fetch lands, so Hoots shouldn't take too long. Unfortunately, we might be pitching that Scour away. It's also nice that Hoots doesn't die to Pyroclasm, so we can Clasm the board and then bash in. We'll start with this Foothills and just pass. It is highly likely that they have something great, because they kept on 7, and Dredge usually mulligans until they find Dredger plus Enabler. So they probably have a looting, or that's a looting. Which means we should probably just bite the bullet and shoal it. We will pay our alternative costs, and we will get rid of this Thought Scour. Instead of putting 3 cards in the graveyard, Scour is going to put 1 off of shoal. We won't be using Hooting Mandrills right away, but it's possible that slows them down enough for us to win the game. Let's get a Steam Vents. Delver's good. Delver is good. Delver is a bit of anti-synergy with Pyroclasm, but that's pretty okay. I don't hate that. We are pretty much hoping very strongly that they don't have a second Enabler. They didn't have a second Enabler. Okay. We're not going to fetch. I'd like to scry off of that. Serum Visions is very good. I don't know if I actually want Serum Visions, though. We're going to have a 3rd card in the yard with this, so I can fetch. Yeah, we'll take it. I'm going to do all of my fetching, then I will Visions, and then I will Mandrills. We obviously attack. There's probably no card that I could see off of Serum Visions that makes me not want to attack. Because we will be racing, we're just going to get a bunch of basics. Double red and double green are not so pressing. This is going to have to get a basic forest. To make that easier, I could have fetched with the Tarn first because it can't get the forest. So if I got an island off of Misty, I would be very sad. I clicked the forest, thank you. Now we get our basic island. We're actually going to have more than enough cards to delve, which is very nice. Makes me like that Thought Scour pitch even more. That gets an island. That plays Serum Visions. I think we just play out everything. Yeah. We're just going to present a massive clock. That Tarmogoyf isn't going to be big on account of us. However, our opponent is on Dredge. So if they're doing anything, that graveyard's going to get massive. That one. Which means Goyf will still be good. Goyf will still be good. Hopefully this clock is enough. Knock on wood. Let's actually keep their graveyard open. There's not a lot going on board, so we may as well have a nice time seeing what they're up to. I'll also get rid of what I have on my notepad for their old hand. We have an almost 2-turn clock right now. Collective Brutality is great. Collective Brutality is amazing here, actually. They gain some life, get rid of the Aberration Delver. The other Delver is not going to flip off of Goyf, but at the same time, I'll have a Goyf, so I'm not going to complain. And they're just going to be taking 5, but they gain 2, so they're going to be at 14, which slows our clock down a lot. The discard off of it also. Oh, Okay, I was expecting to see a Dredger, but maybe their hand is that bad. Which is odd. I don't think Dredge keeps 7s that don't have both Dredger and Enabler. Of course, like I always say, I don't play this deck. I don't know for sure. That's just my experience and things I've read on the internet. And they take Pyroclasm, drain 2, and kill an Aberration. Delver does not flip. However, we're going to eagerly cast our 2/3. Them not having a Dredger is absolutely wonderful. Them also needing to Brutality instead of being able to Faithless Looting is also wonderful, because looting digs them better. Yep, those blocks are the blocks I wanted to see. Let's slam this Goyf. Does it know the island was tapped? It does now. It does now, and that's all we have to do. Xmage is starting to lag a bit, but I mean, it's not disconnecting. Knock on wood again, please don't. Be strong, Xmage. Hold fast! They play a mountain, which is great, because they're hitting land drops without having Bloodghasts in their graveyard. I think maybe they kept hoping we wouldn't have the Disrupting Shoal. Being able to Faithless Looting now could put them back into the game. We know nothing about their hand. They have 3 cards after the discard. It's not unlikely that they have a Dredger. I'd say in the top 13, they have probably 2 to 3 Loams in the deck. Them discarding 2 lands bodes horribly for them. Bodes really well for us. That's going to probably chump the Goyf and stop Delver from attacking entirely if it doesn't flip. Upkeep trigger may resolve. I'm not going to show him that. We will keep it in hand, though. We will keep it in hand. No need for them to see a mountain, which won't be doing anything for us. We're just going to swing with this. They probably chump Goyf, sack it to discard and draw. Hoots can get in there. Hoots will deal 4. That's not how I would block. Maybe he doesn't realize Hoots has Trample. I think he doesn't realize Hoots has Trample. That makes me kind of sad, because I didn't want to win off of that kind of thing. But I guess they discarded a new card type. Yeah, they did. Instant. Welcome, Ancient Grudge. And they took 7. Oh, that makes me kind of sad. Feel a little bad. But I mean, they could have read the Mandrills, so entirely on them. Another nice thing about, the only really nice thing about not having hard graveyard hate against Dredge, their anti-hate is really bad. I don't have any artifacts in my deck. That Ancient Grudge is 100% a blank. Now they're just hoping to draw into something that can stem the bleeding. But I think they're too far gone for that. Even if they slam a Stinkweed Imp. Well, they're slowing us down. Even if the Delver doesn't flip this time, I believe we attack with it, because if he does decide to chump the Goyf, we get an extra point of damage in. Turn off all of his fetches. Make Delver a lethal attacker. For the next turn, of course. No, they're going all in. As they probably should. Okay. I think we're still good. Let's just have it go to us. They dredge a Stinkweed Imp. That's not going to save them. Did they play a land this turn? I think they played the mountain. Maybe they didn't. But if Stinky's the only card in their hand, they have nothing. Okay, so we took that one. And hopefully that demonstrates nicely that you should be clocking and racing Dredge. I don't know if there's anything I want to change on the draw. Firstly, I'd like to sort our sideboard because Xmage decided to make it look like trash. So let's do that real quick. We could at least look at our options. And let's put the dismembers right here as removal. So we have artifact and explosives for hate, or artifact hate plus explosives, which is extra hate, removal, attack lands, and grind. I don't think we really want to do any of this business, but I might not like the Mana Leak. Of course, Mana Leak is another card that pitches for 2 to show, so you know what? We're going to run it. Let's get some results. Have a nice, good, I want a good, clean game. And can I keep this? I think I might be able to. It's not the fastest hand, but it's pretty reliable. Pretty reliable indeed. You know what? Maybe that was extremely wrong of me. I don't know if I should be aggressively mulliganing into any decent hand that includes shoal and a way to pitch for 1. But maybe that's what we have to do, because this hand might be too slow. If they hit a nut draw, we could be... if they hit a nut draw, we're in trouble regardlessly. That's the definition of a nut draw. But if they hit a very good draw, we could be in extreme amounts of trouble. Of course, if we mulligan an entire... This is an absolutely decent hand. There's no question in my mind that this hand is decent. So mulliganing it into a bad 6, and then mulliganing down to 5, that could hurt. Drawing a land also hurts, but there's not a lot we can do to mitigate that. I'm going to start with Visions instead of Traverse, because I very much want to be hitting either Thought Scour, Goyf, or Delver, because I need to be establishing a clock soon, so I don't think getting a land off of Traverse is close to as good as hoping to hit a creature, which actually could be an argument for not having this Traverse in the deck at all. It's possible that should be one of the 2 Dismembers. I mean, I don't like Dismember very much in this matchup because it is like a lightning bolt that doesn't go to the face and also really goes to your face. They are using Conflagrate to get their hand into the bin. Wow. Okay, they had a really slow hand. I will take, what is it, 3? 4? I'll take 4. They have nothing to dredge. And we hit Goyf. So it looks like Serum Visions was a good idea. We are going to shock for our green mana. And we're just going to slam this clock on the table. Go to them. Creature and Sorcery are the only card types in the bin currently. I'm strongly considering Tarfiring them, so that we can make a nice juicy Tarmogoyf. End this game sooner rather than later. Did Xmage just skip my turn? No, it didn't. I would have been sad. I definitely would have requested a rollback for that if Xmage decided it was going to skip my turn. A very good reason to Tarfire here is to turn on Ferocious for Stubborn Denial. So while it does give up our chance to Tarfire, say, a Stinkweed Imp, that could theoretically slow us down. Of course, if they get a Stinkweed Imp, we're going to be extremely slow regardlessly. I'm not going to play Serum Visions because I want to hold up Stubborn Denial. And I will play this Mountain because I have a lot of cards in hand. So that happens, we're going to bash in. I'm also going to use the Traverse the Ulvenwald because I would like to get more cards in the yard for mandrills. Technically speaking, I should have traversed and played whatever basic I got, but I don't think them knowing one of the 5 cards in our hand is extremely relevant. We have a 3-turn clock. If we can safely cast a mandrills, which we can, because we have 3 cards in the yard now, we're going to have a 4th land next turn. We can delve 3, tap 3, and hold up denial if they don't have anything. They're conflagrating for 1. They're trying to discard a Golgari Thug. That'll get them somewhere, but I think it's too slow. I think it is much too slow. A conflagrate for 1 is something I'm not going to counter, because there are plenty of excellent cards they can draw next turn. So what we're going to do here, like I said, we're going to play this island. We have our 4th land drop. That traverse ended up being so much better than a dismember. We are going to hit, and then we're going to establish lethal. We can even play this Serum Visions, because it's going to replace the mana we tap via Delve. So that's just great. That somewhat mediocre hand we had, that really panned out. Mostly because they didn't have the nut draw. But I like it when they don't have the nut draw. You're not winning many of the games where they have the nut draw. Denial is good. Plays around, I don't know, Lightning Axe plus card. Green, red. Oh, it is very special, Xmage. It is very special indeed. We are actually making Goyf smaller, but that should be okay, especially with Simic Charm. I don't see that being much of a problem. We still have lethal. Plus denial. We have denial up this turn, and then next turn we can Simic Charm while keeping up a blue source. So we have denial plus lethal plus denial for next turn. I don't know what they could possibly do to survive. They can play Golgari Thug, chump Goyf, go down to 4. Golgari Thug dies, put Narcomoeba on top for when you dredge next time. I guess that would give you 2 chump blockers, but Mandrill's still going to do it. And he probably would have lost. Actually, we could buff the Mandrills with the Simic Charm, so he wouldn't have died next turn, but he was almost certainly dead the turn after that. I hope you guys enjoyed us playing against Dredge. If you don't like Dredge, then you probably enjoyed that even more, because the deck kind of lost to itself, but we certainly helped it lose to itself. So yeah, that's how you beat Dredge with this deck. Hope that they don't have the nuts. Counter their enablers. Counter Stinkweed Imp to get the last bit of damage in if that's relevant. And just try to establish a clock as soon as you can, while keeping up whatever relevant interaction you happen to have in hand. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I very much did. And that is gonna do it for this video. Ciao.